Dakota Gasification Company is in a year of change, addition and multiplication, turnover and turnaround. Dave Sauer is Dakota Gas Chief Operating Officer and says teamwork has been key.
A lot of people stepped up, had the opportunity for advancement through the retirements, and then have grabbed hold of everything that we've needed to progress not only our safety production, but going into the urea project and making that a success as well.
The urea plant construction project is the biggest on site. Urea is a solid fertilizer sold in pellet form and used by farmers. The Synfuels plant site was perfect for such a plant, says project manager Jim Greer, because all the necessary ingredients are already being produced here, anhydrous ammonia and carbon dioxide. Construction on the urea plant is in the early stages, mostly underground, but work not yet visible is being done in the offices at Dakota Gas and Basin Electric headquarters.
At Basin, we're relying real heavily on our contracting team. So we have a lot of equipment to buy for the project. And so we have real senior, very experienced contract administrators who are overseeing that entire part of the project.
You know, we do a lot of projects on the Basin side, primarily power generation, transmission type projects, but very similar to what a urea project requires. And so that's really a big part of what Basin brings to the equation. DGC obviously understands the process side of it and provides a fair amount of support for those technical aspects of the project. And that comes together to give us the team that executes the urea project.
Darren Eliason works for Dakota Gas on the engineering side, and Joey Nelson works on operations. Both are working on the urea project.
We want to make sure that we're designing and building a plant that's going to be safe and operable and maintainable over the next 20 plus years.
The experience of working with engineers and seeing things from their aspect, learning how they look at the drawings and how they look at the specs and everything, that's knowledge that I'll carry on through my career and have that with me the rest of my time out here.
Dakota Gas Engineering is working heavily with IHI, an engineering firm based in Houston, Texas. Shift supervisors like Nelson will be running the plant when complete and want to make sure all equipment is accessible.
If you have equipment like so close together, which to save space, they'll look at like a square foot or a blueprint and have everything like right here, but we'll want it maybe 5 feet apart so we can have guys side by side working on a pump or replacing a motor, that they're not in harm's way at all.
The plant is scheduled to be complete in 2017. By late next year, the plant site will start to take shape.
A lot of it's going to be underground, but there will be the new parking lot, new access road, the future rail bed for our rail spur coming in. We'll have trailers on site where our team is going to be occupying.
Completed projects have been running over the last year. The clean cooling water system has saved the plant money and time because it's keeping heat exchangers clean. Plant manager Dale Johnson says while some operating procedures are a bit different, the clean cooling water system is doing its job, and one small outage went well.
In the past, all those plant heat exchangers would get dirty, and we would have to make sure that we cleaned them in the spring before the summer heat came. Now we can do all that cleaning in the fall. We can really do it any time of the year, but we've chosen to do it in the fall when contractor availability is better, the weather is better, kids are back to school, so it's family friendly.
The new ammonia tank on site led to big sales this spring, 33 to 40% higher than normal. Steve Liebelt is Vice President of Marketing and Sales.
This spring we had a lot of wet weather, which delayed the season, which created much higher demands for shipments of our material in a shorter period of time. Now with the new tank, which came in really handy this year because we were able to meet the customer's demands in a shorter time period because we had additional product on hand, and due to the additional tank, our shipments went from an average of about 900 tons a day trucks to about 1,500 tons a day, which is a good increase.
The tar oil stripper has faced some challenges. Operations are fine, transportation is not. The stripper makes enough tar oil to fill 4 rail cars every day. Tara Vesey is Dakota Gas Manager of Transportation. She says in July last year, the trains were running as expected. By October, transit time increased 45%.
By November, we were obviously growing very concerned because we were seeing a trend, and we started talking with the railroads. And although they were being as upfront as they could by telling us that they felt it was attributed to weather, we just had a gut feeling that this was going in a direction that we weren't interested in moving along. So we began to contract for additional rail cars.
Though BNSF Railway was saying weather was affecting transit times, the lag in delivery was the same in July of this year. And those newly contracted cars are slow to come, too.
The problem is that when you contract for a rail car and when you receive that particular rail car to be used within your system can oftentimes take a very long time. Right now is one of those times, and so we are hoping to receive some of the cars that we contracted for in late 2013, early 2014 by the end of this calendar year.
While VC worked on transportation, operator Tim Seidler says tar oil had to be burned for fuel when there wasn't enough storage.
It gives us time to troubleshoot and fine-tune the unit. Learn where is the optimum place to run it to make the best product. Can we be more efficient with things? What changes can we make online to help improve the operations of it?
Finding ways to improve operations is important, but finding the operators is another big task. This year, Human Relations had to hire a major number of employees, replacing those who left, mostly due to retirements, says Human Resources Supervisor Erica Petrowitz.
We ended up with about 10% of our workforce that turned over at the end of the year. So not only were we hiring to replace that workforce, we're also hiring in anticipation for the urea project that's coming up. We will need to add employees there. And then also we're seeing a lot of the local plants in the areas are in the same situation we are, so there are more opportunities available for people to go other places.
HR staff went from 3 people to 5, working hard to hire more co-op students than ever. Co-op students still go to school and get hands-on experience at the plant.
It's like a 3-month interview for both of us. They get to see if they want to work for us as well as if we want to offer them a position after they graduate.
In operations, the co-op program was more than doubled.
This year we expanded that to 28. So there was a large increase just from there, and part of that was due to the success of the program. It was really useful for the technicians and then also for the co-ops. As a student, they're not only getting to see that classroom experience, but then they're getting the hands-on of how they'll actually apply what they learn in the classroom.
The newly formed training group works with co-op students and new employees. Jamie Eckroth, Aaron Marquardt, and Ryan Rask train new operators on site.
It's pretty overwhelming when you walk out there and you see 14 gasifiers in a building and thousands of miles of piping. They don't even know where to begin. Where are your flows? They don't understand any of it. So it's a very slow step-by-step process.
The experienced techs realize that there's this increased focus and they're helping the junior techs to advance faster.
The trainers are involved with hiring, too. They're forming relationships with more colleges in the area, like Lake Area Tech in Watertown, South Dakota, and Montana State University in Billings.
We went and toured their facilities, found out what they're training. They're begging us to give them information on what do we want them to know coming out of school. So we're going to try to keep working with them and recruiting from them.
The trainers are working on new and better ways to make sure all employees get the same information as everybody else in a way they can best use it.
Tried to standardize it in a sense. Everybody's going to get the same training, where in one section they may have gotten more training on safety and those types of things. In other sections it was more unit-based. So we're trying to make a more well-rounded training with safety and the unit-specific training.
If they're not picking it up in the classroom, we'll get them outside and get them tracing pipe and learning flows that way.
Another trainer, Ted Krause, works on the maintenance end of things.
The maintenance side, we don't get to work on it until you bring it down or until it breaks. Well, if it runs for years, which is great for the plant, isn't great for training your maintenance people. Because to walk by it, you don't learn it.
With all the retirements, training must be efficient. For example, employees need to get up to speed on using liquid oxygen very quickly.
So we need someone to come in and show us the proper way to handle, care for, and do that type of thing in a short period of time, because we can't wait for them to be trained in 20 years or whatever. We need that information, we need it now.
The CAT safety program was brought in this year. The Synfuels plant has been involved with the safety inspections along with Laramie River Station. Ryan Wolf is Dakota Gas Safety Industrial Hygiene Superintendent and sits on the CAT safety steering team.
This was unique because we've done surveys internal just at DGC in the past, and this survey was done co-op wide, which is a first, and the data was basically the same. And it was almost identical from facility to facility, so everyone knew what we needed to address, and there wasn't a lot of questions on inspections were something that we wanted to work on.
A safe place is an efficient place, your morale's better. Safety is a cornerstone of everything.
Moving employees up into supervisor positions more quickly requires another special kind of training. Christy Flieger-Keller focuses on leadership.
Conflict management, for example, is a very essential foundation core course that we're encouraging everybody to go through, because that's part of interacting on a day-to-day basis. We're also bringing in a series of tools for supervisors. Rather than just hiring somebody as a supervisor because they're great at the technical side of their job, we want to make sure that they have the people and the soft skills to develop them into the best leader that they can be as well.
Strong leaders are important to a subsidiary in this time of rapid growth and change, and as a result, the Great Plains Synfuels plant is getting attention. Environmental Protection Agency Administrator Gina McCarthy visited in March, and Department of Energy Secretary Ernest Moniz visited in August. They were there to talk about carbon dioxide rules, opportunities for sequestration, and the future of coal in the United States. High-profile guests to a plant that is cutting edge, on the move, and using technology to bring more value to Basin Electric.